Hello, this is John, Jaw Watson, and we are reading the One Year Bible together. This is day number 26, and I'm going to be just walking through this passage and sharing some of my reflections. I find it interesting at the first part when Jesus is responding to some of the comments that the teachers of religious law are saying, that he's acknowledging one is that there's a truth to what they're saying at some level, and two, at the other level, he's saying, but they missed something. And I've noticed over and over again that our attention and what we focus on and what our assumptions are colors what we see or don't see in life and reality. And Jesus is trying to shape his disciples to enter into the full life of love, of compassion, of power, of access to what living in under his reign, under the king in the kingdom of God looks like. And you get this sharp contrast where, now there's a demon-possessed kid, and people aren't able to deal with it. It's over their heads. And the disciples, it's over the disciples' heads. And they're like, why couldn't we do this? And Jesus looks at them and says, well, you don't have enough faith. Now, it's an interesting implication here that one can actually grow in faith, that there's different quantities of faith, that one that faith can actually make a difference in outcomes. And I've seen that in even the simplest realities. And I've increasingly seen that in even more complex realities. Let's take the simplest reality. I think I mentioned this before, but a young child learning to tie his or her own shoes. If a child is struggling with confidence and faith in its possibility, if a kid says, I can't do it, as long as this attitude, I cannot do this, is there, it is impossible. It only becomes possible when someone is daring enough to say, I can. There is a way. There must be a way. In fact, that attitude, I can, there must be a way, there is a way, is the foundation of every discovery and every unfolding of both physical reality through science, spiritual reality, and the empowerment of the gifts grows according to 1 Corinthians 14 in this passionate love that says, it's not within my power, but I know somehow it might be within God's power and strength. And yeah, I could say more about that, but I want to get to the other parts of the text. Jesus makes it clear that he knows what's going to happen and his purpose in coming, that he will be killed, and on the third day he will be raised from the dead. And he knows this really clearly. And I think the other part of living in kingdom reality that's hard is it's embracing the full consequences of the path of life that you've chosen to walk on. Martin Luther King, you get that really interesting, in the midst of his protest and resistance, acknowledging, you know, longevity has its place, but I might not get there with you. But my eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord, and we as a people will get there. There are over and over again, if you look through the New Testament, you see in the Apostle Paul's life this dynamic of knowing, if I go to Jerusalem, I'm going to be put into bondage and imprisoned and eventually taken to Rome, and then I'm going to stand trial before Caesar. There is a lot of authority in the kingdom isn't just willy-nilly handed out like candy. Authority is willingness to correspond to helping shape and create the history that God is interested in shaping and intends. And you can't separate. There's a difference between gift and what comes because of obedience. There's a difference between faith and what comes out of gift. But I don't want to get anyone confused, so I won't go further on that one. But some of you will get what I'm saying. And then I want to say it should feel really different. Like right here, Peter's, feeling pressed about this question about the temple tax. Well, hopefully, if we give to a church, when we give to the church, and when we give our tithe to a church, it doesn't feel like the temple tax. That's not what we really, there's got to be a freedom in the giving. People tax people that they have conquered. That's an interesting thing about domination. Giving comes out of a heart of freedom, out of a heart of joy, out of a heart of insight. So really, first of all, if you're giving to any institution, they should have completely open books that show how the money is actually being used. There should be clear accountability. And if there isn't clear accountability, look for someone else. Look somewhere else where you can see that the money that you do give is actually shaping things in such a way that blessings are being multiplied in people's lives. I want to say something about this sepia tone color that I've chosen today. There is an intensity about Jesus in his passion for his purpose. And even the disciples are uncomfortable with it. And there's a warmth in Jesus for his love of the common people. And there's a stark contrast in Jesus from what religious teachers are promoting, predominantly a law that isn't really life-giving to the masses, and Jesus wanting to see the masses of people freed and given life. In the midst of all of this, I hope, as I've done this, that you've seen and experienced from my heart some of the love that I have for you all. I hope to carry that same love forward. God bless.